What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today I wanted to talk about a company by the name of Momentus. They're a company that specializes in basically providing a foundation for doing things in space. This could be satellites, this could be mining asteroids, this could be construction. I believe this company is trying to revolve around the industrialization of space. And I think the main aspect that's even making this possible is the fact that SpaceX is making it so cheap to get cargo into space now. The bigger and bigger they make the rockets, I believe the more cost efficient they're getting with getting cargo into space. So I believe right now they are betting on the Starship, and when the Starship does go live, I would imagine that the market for this kind of thing is going to boom. But that's the main point of this business, is capitalizing on the infrastructure of space and that market, which they're expecting to be worth trillions, by the way. Now, before I got into that in detail, I wanted to remind you that WEBULL is offering a promotion right now where you'll get up to 4 free stocks if you open an account with them and deposit $100. All you have to do is go down in the description and click on that link and open an account and deposit $100, and you'll get up to 4 free stocks valued up to $1,400 each. It's a way for you to get free stocks and a way for you to support the channel. And if you really want to show even more support for the channel, I highly recommend you go to the Patreon link that I have in the description. Anytime I buy or sell any stocks in my portfolio, or if I find something that I can't get out onto YouTube fast enough, I'm definitely going to be posting it on Patreon first. So anyone who wants to get early news and wants to know what I'm doing, I would highly consider joining the Patreon group. So here's their way of summarizing what they do as a business. Momentum is the first company to offer the infrastructure services necessary to enable enterprise and human existence to flourish in space. We are striving to meet the needs of our customers by offering the most affordable last-mile satellite and cargo delivery, payload hosting, and in-orbit servicing options. Our technological breakthroughs, paired with the recent disruptions in the launch industry, unlock business opportunities in space of previously unimaginable magnitude. The market opportunity is massive, with the space economy projected to be worth trillions in the near term. We are helping to usher in the next industrial revolution in space. So here's their investor presentation released in October. I am a little late, but that's besides the point. I just want to bring this to your attention, especially with the stock price kind of taking a dip. If you guys are interested in investing in these companies, the best time to invest is during dips. But first, we have to look at the company and realize, okay, is this a place where you would want to park your money for a while? So Mihail Kokorich, he is the founder and CEO. It is this guy here. I read about him. He had some retail success, and I believe he sold his business, ended up getting a bunch of money, poured his own money into this industry, and here we are today. At least that's what I remember reading, so don't hold me to it. So Momentus is coming public via a reverse merger through Stable Road. This is a SPAC deal, so they have a bunch of cash that once they do the merge, then Momentus is going to get this cash and they can do whatever they want with it. I won't really be looking at the leadership in this video. I just want you guys to look at the business. I really just want you guys to look at the business and their end goal here, and basically coming to your own conclusion based with what I'm telling you, and whether you think you guys like it or not. Company overview. They're the first mover in providing in-space transportation and infrastructure services. They have space transportation services, satellite as a service, and in-orbit servicing. So those are the three main industries that they're tackling here, and their key partners are SpaceX, Made in Space, and RBC Global Ground Station. I feel like they're really going to be piggybacking on SpaceX. I could be wrong, but that's just what I'm guessing. Especially with SpaceX reducing the cost to go into space. I feel like they're very reliant, at least right now, SpaceX is doing the best job at reducing the cost to get things into space. So I feel like they're going to be piggybacking SpaceX a whole lot. I don't think that's a bad thing, but that's just what I'm guessing. Groundbreaking water propulsion technology that significantly reduces costs and is reusable. We'll get a little bit more into detail later in the presentation about the vehicles that they have. Their vision is a future where humanity is equipped with all it needs to flourish throughout the solar system. Their mission is to provide an infrastructure service that supports all industry beyond Earth. And their market opportunity is space economy worth $415 billion today and expected to grow to $1.4 trillion over the next decade. So these are really big numbers. The Momentus overview is that they are the center of the commercialization of space, and they believe that they are the key to enabling the next industrial revolution, but in space. So let's look at the red text first. We have space transportation, satellite as a service, and in-orbit servicing, right? Over the long term, they'll have manufacturing and assembly, energy and data processing, and asteroid and moon mining. So these are future industries that they see them tackling, along with these three existing ones that they see that they'll be able to capitalize on in the short term. I think the asteroid and moon mining is going to be the most mind-blowing one to me, in my personal opinion, and the manufacturing and assembly of large space structures. That's going to be crazy. So their space transportation service is essentially they get on a rocket. So in this case, it would be a SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket. And the transfer vehicle, which is what it's called, I didn't remember what it was called. It's a transfer vehicle. So this transfer vehicle rides on the rocket, or the Falcon 9, and it basically it rides the rocket as a taxi into space, and then the transfer vehicle is already holding several customer satellites on it. So once the SpaceX rocket gets the transfer vehicle up into space and detaches from the booster, now it's going to go to the different customers' orbits separately, because it has its own propulsion system, and it's able to move these different satellites into different orbits once it's in space. And then once it puts each customer satellite in different orbits, the transfer vehicle deorbits or refuels and returns to initial orbit for use. So I don't think it comes back into the atmosphere. I think it just stays flying around the Earth, and eventually it gets refueled by, I guess, another transfer vehicle, and then it continues to move satellites that are in space around into different orbits, and it just stays in space and is essentially like an Uber, or like a taxi, or like a last mile delivery, but in space. And I'll go over the cost savings to this in a second. The price estimates for small satellites are $70,000 per kilogram for a dedicated small rocket to final orbit. For a rideshare to initial orbit and transfer with their own propulsion system to final orbit, they're estimating it costs around $50,000 per kilogram. So if someone is developing their own satellite, and then they have to develop their own propulsion technology to get that satellite where they need it to be around the Earth, like a specific orbit, then it becomes very expensive for them to do this whole process. So I think what they're doing is they're simplifying that process for a bunch of different customers. And essentially, if you ride share on a large rocket and travel last mile with the Vigoride transfer vehicle, you're only going to be spending around $15,000 per kilogram, and it's a service already provided for you. So they also offer a satellite as a service model. So if you look at the diagram, if you look at the picture here on the right, you will see that the red is the transfer vehicle and the white is the hosted payload. So the red belongs to Momentus and the white belongs to a variety of customers. So we're going to have a bunch of Momentus carry or transfer vehicles hosting a variety of satellites for a variety of customers on Earth. I feel like this is drastically going to open up the market to more satellites, just because if they're providing the service of doing the hard part, basically the muscle lifting of putting these satellites into space, and all you have to do is just develop the satellite to basically attach to it. I think this is a really good market that has room for a lot of growth, especially if it's going to reduce your in-house cost to getting a satellite into space to begin with. So they're essentially reinventing the satellite model with significantly lower costs. It's more than $10 million with traditional satellite platforms, and they're getting this to less than $1 million per year on the Vigoride platform, which has not been released yet. So the in-orbit servicing model of their business is next-generation Momentus reusable vehicles designed to be capable of performing proximity maneuvers, docking, and refueling, and equipped with robotic arms are anticipated to be well suited for the entire range of in-orbit services. The services will include refueling or life extension for larger spacecraft, relocation or deorbiting satellites, and conducting salvage missions and robotic operations such as repair or in-orbit assemblies. So if we look at the picture again, we're basically going to see them being able to switch orbits if they need to. They're going to be able to refuel and power existing satellites, life extension of satellites, and then if they need to, they can deorbit satellites and get them to crash back in the atmosphere. So here's their current projection in their business. So prior to 2018, I feel like a lot of us still didn't realize how cheap space travel would start to get as time progressed, and especially with SpaceX improving their technologies. It's kind of crazy because before 2018 also, this probably wouldn't have been possible. So I feel like the CEO, Mihail, I think, if I just remember his name off the top of my head correctly, this guy is a genius because he already saw that coming, and he pretty much jumped on this kind of business opportunity. And generally, founder-led companies are the best ones because they have a lot of skin in the game, because they had to go through a lot of work and stress, effort, blood, sweat, tears, everything, the whole spectrum to build their business and to get it to the point they want it to be. So it's very good. He's not going to let this business crumble, I would imagine, and I think he's very smart for jumping on this with the the first opportunity that he saw, because this is an industry that really I feel like a lot of people overlook, especially because we're here on Earth and we don't really see what's happening out in space. But from 2018, they had their first hire a little bit before 2018. They have gone through all of these improvements and expansions, more people, more contracts. Right now they are here, and right now they are working on new transfer vehicles that will be launched on the Falcon 9 rocket from SpaceX. So that's honestly really exciting. They are targeting a rapid growth in space. They're expecting by 2030 there will be 10,000 plus satellites, mainly launched into space by super large rockets. And the scale of these rockets is going to make it cheaper to, get things into space. And once the Starship is perfected by SpaceX, we're expecting around $250 per kilogram into low Earth orbit, which is nothing. And I believe I heard that there's a rise in nano satellites. So the smaller satellites in constellations versus just having one huge satellite, it's going to be a lot cheaper and more efficient to get those into space too. So the cheaper it gets, the more exponential the growth I feel like is going to happen. So the Vigoride is their newest transfer vehicle. It is up to 750 kilograms. The Ardo Ride is the one that's going to be, I feel like, the game changer. This one's up to 4,000 kilograms. So this one's going to haul a ton of weight, this transfer vehicle here. And then in 2024, they're expecting the launch of their Fervo Ride, which is up to 20,000 kilograms. And at the bottom here, you'll see that they have an addressable market for each of these transfer vehicles. And they are expecting the Vigoride to have 1.5 billion in market value, 10 billion in market value for the Ardo Ride, and 37 billion for the Fervo Ride. So if we were to combine all of these vehicles, we're looking at almost $50 billion. And right now they have a 1.2 billion pro forma enterprise value. So it is very cheap in terms of multiples right now, for sure, at least for what they're expecting in the future. So thanks to their launchers, which are enabling their success, thanks to SpaceX, Blue Origin, Relativity, GK Launch Services, thanks to these guys, they are able to even, have this business opportunity. So that's what I'm saying. They're really smart to piggyback on these guys because they're essentially enabling Momentus's business. So I feel like this is a really good thing. So I feel like any success we see in carrying weight into space is going to be indirectly, or I guess directly proportional to Momentum's success. They have $90 million in signed contracts. They have around $1.1 billion in negotiations or conversations, so nothing's set in stone, but they're talking about having over $1 billion in potential business. And then their expected demand is going to be $1.2 billion over, I would imagine, at least the next, year or two, short term. They're estimating $2 million this year in 2020 with a net loss of $1 million. 2021, they're expecting $19 million with $2 million in gross profit. 2022, they're expecting $152 million with $63 million in gross profit. 2023, they're expecting $600 million with $230 million. Really good margin, 39%. And then the revenue is just going to keep going up and up. And it looks like their margins, they're expecting to cap out around 70%. So I would say a safe margin for this company would be around 50%, which I think is good if they can already, be on track to profitability so soon. So the Momentus opportunity is they're the first mover in providing in-space transportation and infrastructure services to the space economy. Rapid near-term expected growth, so very short-term growth they're expecting. Breakthrough water-based propulsion technology, so it's going to be cheap to put things into orbit. Significant customer traction and deep integration with industry leaders. They have a clear path to profitability with more than $1 billion in earnings before income and all the expenses. Massive long-term growth, opportunities beyond current business plan, and a well-seasoned team with experience in aerospace propulsion and robotics, piloted by visionary leader and innovator. So these are the last couple slides I want to show you. This is basically them comparing their revenues, their earnings, and their margins compared to different competitors or potential competitors, or at least people in the same industry, space industry. So we see here that they're going to have a ton more revenue growth expected, a lot more earnings growth, and a lot higher margins than their competitors. And I would imagine this is just because of the business model that they're approaching. We're looking at their enterprise value to revenues, and we're looking at their enterprise value to earnings. And apparently this is very low, at least for what they're projecting for what's to happen in 2024 and 2025. So we see a 1.0 versus 11.4 for the 2024 projected Virgin Galactic numbers. So that's what it means when you see these multiples and valuations, is its future valuation projection to the enterprise value that we have right now. So what they're saying is that if they can capitalize on, all of the things that they're trying to achieve, that you're pretty much getting them at a 1.0 multiple as far as their revenue goes. I also did want to pull up the chart because The stock has been on a decline. It did reach a level of support that I drew out, and it ended up coming down to this line finally, or level of support, I should say, and it's been chilling right here. So we'll see if it ends up breaking lower than this, because if it does, then I would imagine the next opportunity to buy this would be around $12. And if not, then the next opportunity would pretty much be right about now at $14.50 a share. And this is from a high of around $18, so you are getting it at a discount right now. So that's why I wanted to bring this to your attention as well. I think Momentus is a very interesting business opportunity. Their business would not have been possible if it was not for SpaceX and all of these other rocket orbiting servicing companies that, you know, get cargo into space. This would not have been possible if it wasn't for them improving their technologies and reducing the cost to get into space. So I feel like the lower they can get cargo, the lower price they can get cargo into space, the more business opportunities there will be for companies like Momentus. So any success in like SpaceX, for example, if we get SpaceX news, this would be very good for Momentus. I feel like it would be directly proportional to each other. So that's something to also consider. I am not invested in this company as of this video, but I think I will invest in this company just because I really like the business model. I feel like I just have to look into the leadership a little bit more and to see like what their plans are. But so far, I really like the business opportunity. So I want you guys to tell me what you think also. And don't forget, if you do want to support the channel, I do have a Patreon link in the description. If you want to see what I'm doing or want to be able to talk to me a little bit more personally, or if you guys really just want a really detailed opinion of how I feel about a stock, the best way to get my attention is in the Patreon. So I highly recommend you guys register for the Patreon if you want to support the channel. But anyways, guys, that is it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked what you're watching, go ahead and hit that like button. And while you're down there, go ahead and hit that big red subscribe button. And don't forget to hit that bell notification to get notified when I make videos just like this one. That's it, guys. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.